tree of life. The tree of life was in the midst of the garden. Tree of life garden. And if they had ate from the tree of life, there wouldn't be no separation. There wouldn't be no death. They would be all like gods. The knowledge of good and evil make them to know evil. So evil came into the world. And man was one nation from all through the first 10 books until the flood of in Noah's in chapter 8, Genesis chapter 8. But what happened now is like one people, one language. There was no Jews. They were at that point. We're just one nation. And all these nations, became wicked. They do evil, paganism, evil worship. They know nothing about God, but Noah did. The Bible told us in Genesis chapter 6, verse 8, Noah found grace in the sight of God. So God called Noah, and God repented and regret in Genesis chapter 6 that he ever made man. He was disgusted with man, human beings. There was all evil, thinking evil in the arts continually, non-stop. The world was wicked world. Very wicked. So God decided he going to have to destroy the whole nation, all the people, but save Noah and his 3 sons. And I told you this before. I want to get a little bit ahead now. I'm going slowly through this, but you see, after the flood, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, Noah, his wife, and their wives came out of the ark. Noah and his 3 sons. You find that in Genesis chapter 9. Yeah, Genesis chapter 9, verse 1. We find Genesis chapter 9, verse 1. God blessed Noah and his sons as they were coming out the ark. After 40 days and 40 nights of rain, finally they came out of the ark. And God said to them, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth. Almost the same language as they had in Genesis chapter 1. In Genesis chapter 2, when God created man or formed man from the dust of the ground until to go fruitful and multiply with his wife, to replenish and fill the earth with human beings. It's like God reproducing himself, man reproducing himself. We didn't evolve from apes. We came through creation. So Adam and Eve replenished the earth, and the earth was full of evil. God destroyed the earth to save Noah, and they came out of the ark in Genesis chapter 9. Now, there's a little thing I showed you last time about Noah's 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. By these 3 men, they was going to replenish the whole earth. That's where all the nations came through, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, because Noah did not have any more sons, did not have more children. So through Noah, 3 sons, they came out of the ark with their wives. Now, the sons of Noah who went out of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and Ham was the father of Canaan. Now, Genesis chapter 9, verse 18, speak about Noah's 3 sons coming off the ark. And the key point here, Ham was the father of Canaan. Canaan is going to be the land where they're going to be fighting to take the land from the Canaanites. This was Shem, this was Ham's son. This was Ham, firstborn, Canaan. So Canaan became the Canaanites. And their tribe, or their descendants, go on into Sodom and Gomorrah. Japheth, his descendant, they went north to the Europe, all through the north. And Shem, through his descendant came Abraham and David and Jesus through, that's how comes the Jews, through Shem, his descendants. But at this point, this is what I'm trying to tell you now, that when you read the scriptures, very important point right here. When you read the Bible, all right, when you read the Bible, try to ask the question, who is doing the talking? Who is doing the speaking? And to whom he's speaking to? Who is this message for? When you read in the scriptures, you got to know what was happening in that point and time to those people at that time. You see, we have a way now when we read the scriptures, because we know, and we have the New Testament and everything, we can look back and see what was happening and make a decision. But you see, you got to think of it this way. The Bible, Revelations, it doesn't tell you everything in one place, in one chapter, or in one verse. The Bible is a continually revealing God's salvation plan. So it doesn't tell you everything in one place. The Bible reveals things as they go through the scriptures, step by step. So the Old Testament, it building up to Christ ever since Genesis chapter 3, with the woman, and the woman's seed is going to crush the head of the serpent. So we know that is coming, but that's all we know in that time, in Genesis chapter 3. And now it come after the flood, Noah and his 3 sons came coming out the Ark of the Covenant, or the Ark of salvation, deliver them from a mighty, great flood. Whatever it was, this Shem, or Ham, his descendant, comes also Cush. Cush also have Nimrod. And Nimrod was a mighty hunter. Now Cush and Put, their descendants went to the south, into Egypt, into Ethiopia, all the way to Ethiopia, Somalia, all the African nation coming through Put. Cush now begot Nimrod. Nimrod, the mighty hunter that built the Tower of Babel, he built a tower that he was going to try to make it to heaven so he could be like God. I don't know where that came from, but may want to be like God. He want to build a tower into heaven, and they gather all the rocks and the stone, and they were building something. But before we get to that part, I want to touch back on Ham and Noah drunkenness. The Bible told us that Noah, he planted a vineyard, and I guess he got drunk drinking some wine. The first time in the Bible you ever heard of someone, I don't think no place else anybody else drink wine and was laid out like Noah. But Noah was messed up, and he was in his tent, wherever he was laying. He was drunk, naked. And one of his sons went in there. Ham went in, and he saw his father's nakedness. Now, the important thing I want you to understand, in verse 22, Genesis chapter 9, verse 22, Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father and told his two brothers who were standing outside. But Shem and Japheth, they take a covering, a blanket, and went backward into, I believe it's a tent, wherever Noah was sleeping, laid out. They went backward, covered their faces, covered their father's nakedness. But in verse 24, Genesis chapter 9, verse 24, it says, so Noah awoke from his wine, and he knew what his younger son had done to him. Oh my God. Now, you coming out of your wine, I don't know, but I know a lot of people who get drunk. And when they're drunk and when they wake up, they don't know what's happened while they were sleeping or while they was passed out or whatever it is. They don't know what's going on or what happened unless you could see something physically that was done to you. So you know something happened, maybe a bruise, a cut, or whatever it may be. When Noah awoke from his wine, verse 24, and knew what his younger son had done to him. I wonder what his son done to him. Why his son, he never cover him up. He go tell his brothers outside, or wherever his brothers were, but they were outside someplace. So that's like a mystery to me. Now I see why they have Sodom and Gomorrah. Now I see why there was a curse on the Canaan, because Noah, he did not curse Ham. All these years, I used to believe that Noah cursed Ham. But that's not what he cursed. He cursed Canaan. If you notice in verse 25, after he awoke from his wine, right? Verse 25, then he said, cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants he shall be to his brothers. Cursed be Canaan. Canaan, he have nothing to do with it. It was Ham who went in and saw his father's nakedness and came out and tell his brothers. And whatever he did to Noah, I don't know. But Noah awoke from his wine, and he knew what his younger son has done to him. Keep that in your thoughts. I'm going to open up some understanding in your scriptures, things you never see and you never know what's going on. But when the scriptures unfolding, I was wondering why. But because I understand